In this movie, I'm going to look at the component-based stairs. The component-based stairs are created from a collection of interconnected components. And this makes editing them simple because if you edit one component, it usually has an impact on any of the others that are connected to it. Now, another nice benefit of working with the component-based stairs is you can work on them in either 2D or 3D, and you can even do it at the same time because it's more of a 3D sketch mode. So I'd like to demonstrate that benefit of using them by working in two views. So I've got level 1 floor plan already open. And I've got this second view over here on my project browser called 3D Stair. Now, this is a cutaway 3D view of the stair lobby. And I'm going to come over to the View tab, click the Tile Windows button here on the Windows panel. And then using my wheel mouse, I'll just pan and zoom a little bit in each view so that we can get a better look at the area that we're going to work in. So let's go to Architecture, click the Stair dropdown, and choose Stair by Component. Now, it's always a good idea to check all the settings first to make sure that you're building the stair that you want. First of all, on the Components panel here, it defaults to Run. The nice thing about the Run tool is that when you draw your runs, it automatically creates any supports and landings that are needed. However, it is possible to create those elements separately if necessary. Now, I'm going to stick with a straight run, but you can also do spiral or U-shaped stairs if required. Over here, I've got choices for different types that I can use for the stair. I'm going to stick with the default one, which has a 190 millimeter max riser and a 250 millimeter tread. Now, the base level will default to level 1 and the top level to level 2. It'll take those two levels, do the math based on the 190 riser, and end up at a desired number of risers of 16. It's possible to increase this number. I'm going to make it 18, but you can't decrease it. If you decrease it, you would get a warning because when it does the math, it would actually generate a riser that's larger than 190, and this rule here is telling us that 190 is the maximum. Now, I also want to increase the tread just a little bit, so I'm going to make that 275 in this case. Now let's look at the options bar, and we've got a setting here for the location line. So some of these are self-explanatory, like Run Center. And if I just click a point here in the plan and start drawing, you can see that it's drawing right down the center of the run. The other options are Run Left or Right, and you might need to zoom in to see that a little bit better. But notice that that's the inside edge of the support. And we also have Support Left or Right, which is the outside edge of the support. So let me zoom back out a little bit. And I'm going to move to the right until I've created 9 risers with 9 remaining, and then I will click to place that first run. You will notice that the run will appear in both plan and 3D simultaneously. So again, that's one of the nice benefits of working with this component-based stair. The numbers are a little small here, but if you zoom in a little, you'll also see that it says 1 at the left side and 9 at the right side, so it's indicating to us the actual riser numbers that have been created. Now, let me give myself some room down here, and I want to create the second run. So I'm going to line up with the first one, give myself plenty of room, click my point, and then move back to the left, and it will say 9 risers created, 0 remaining, and then I'll click, and that will create the remainder of the stair. The last thing I want to check before I see what this looks like is the railing. So I'll click over here on the railing button. We've got some different choices available. So I'm going to make sure that I'm choosing the 900 millimeter pipe railing, and I want to put it on the stringer. I'll click OK, and then finally I will finish it. Now, when I do, the stair will appear in 3D with a railing on either side, and I'm going to get a message warning me that the rail is not continuous. Now, if I zoom in here in the 3D view, you can kind of see what it's complaining about. Right here, it's a little disjointed, and over here, maybe it's not so nice. Now, this is an ignorable warning. You can click anywhere, and it will go away. So if you don't want to deal with that warning right now, you can totally ignore it. However, let's go ahead and deal with that. I'm going to select the stair and click the Edit Stairs button here on the ribbon. To deal with that railing, what we need to do is just allow a little bit more room for it to turn the corner. Now, to do that, I'm going to select the landing component. Notice the landing component has several grip points on it. I can take this small triangle drag control here, and I can start dragging it over to the left. Now, it'll snap to certain dimensions, but the distance I want it to go is actually 300, and it's not snapping to that. But that dimension is bold. And whenever a dimension appears in bold, you can start typing, and it'll go right into that dimension. We call this a listening dimension. So it's listening for input. So I'm going to type in 300, press enter, and that will extend that little portion of the landing. I'm going to do the same thing down here. Start dragging. This time I want 450. It's not giving it to me. So I'll start typing 450, press enter, and it will extend out that portion of the landing. I should now have enough room on the landing so that if I click finish, that my railing should be able to wrap around nicely without generating a warning. So that was an easy way to fix that particular problem. Now, I want to edit the stair further and talk a little bit more about some of the other options available here. The first thing I want to look at is when I placed the second run, I just sort of eyeballed where I wanted it to go. So I don't really have any idea what this distance is in here. Now, when I click this run, it doesn't give me a temporary dimension for that location. So all I'm going to do is just use a permanent dimension because that'll be the easiest way to designate where I want the dimension to be referenced from. So I'm going to use my dimension tool here, or type DI, highlight this inner edge, and I want to make sure it says runs. That's really important. And then the same thing down here. I want to make sure it also says runs. If it says supports, press your tab key until it says run. And then I'll go ahead and click an empty space to place the dimension. Press escape to get out of the dimension command. Select the run. That activates that new dimension, and I'll type in the distance that I want that to be. And in this case, I'm going to do 200 millimeters. So I'll just simply type in 200 and press enter. So that makes the distance between those two runs more precise. The next thing I want to look at is if you select either of the runs, at the end of the run, you'll see two control handles, one that's shaped like a triangle and the other is like a small blue dot. I'm going to take that small blue dot and drag it a little bit to the right, 2 risers. And notice that it will actually remove those risers from the stair. So if you were to actually look carefully at the stair, it's now kind of floating off the floor. So if you wanted to build like a platform that went up to the stair, kind of like a floor riser situation, you might choose to do that. But what I'm going to do is do Control Z to undo that. Instead, what I want to look at is the triangular control. The triangular control allows you to add and remove treads as well. But notice that whatever you add, it removes from the other side or vice versa. So if I drag to the right, it's removing risers from the top run and adding them to the bottom. Or what I'm going to do is drag to the left and add 2 risers to the top run, and it will remove those 2 risers from the bottom. Now you can verify that by looking at the riser numbers. It says 1 here, 11 here, and then 12 and 18 there. So I still have 18 risers. I've just redistributed them along the stair. Also notice in 3D that the landing actually moved up. It has to because all the components stay connected together. And that's one of the big advantages of working with a component-based stair. Let me go ahead and click Finish here. We'll take a look at it in our 3D view. It's looking pretty good, except for one small problem. We're entering in here and wrapping around and coming out here, but we actually want to get to this balcony, and that balcony is on the opposite side. So that's real easy to fix. All you have to do is select the stair, and then here in the plan view, there's this small little flip control, and if I click that, it will flip the direction of the stair, and now the top run is the upper run, and the bottom run, the shorter run, is where we enter the stair, and that's the lower run now, and you can see that the stair is correctly oriented. So all that remains is for us to position the stair in the correct location. Now to help us do that, I want to turn on an underlay of the second floor. You can do that by making sure that nothing is selected in the plan view. Go over to the Properties palette for the floor plan, and scroll down and locate the underlay feature. It's currently set to none. All I'm going to do is change that to level 2 and apply that, and you'll see this ghosted in gray line appear here for level 2. I'll select the stair, go to my move command, snap right to the end point at the end of the stair, move it over here. If it's only moving horizontally or vertically, make sure you turn off constrain. Okay, I've got constrain unchecked, but you won't be able to move in both directions if you don't turn that off. I'll go ahead and move it right there, and that puts the stair into position, and you can check it in both your 2D and your 3D views. So the component-based stair allows you to assemble a stair from a collection of interconnected components, and when you manipulate any one of those components, it has an impact on the other connected pieces. So it's a very powerful way to build your stair and interact with it in both 2D and 3D.